Curse of the White Corsair, Book 1, 9 Lives Janszoon, Part 3. 'Twere a whiteout on a winter's day, the flags of Holland spied. Then was his ship in disarray, when Spain sailed up beside. The corsairs could not see too well, so thick the snowy scenes. Cutlasses carved them to hell, as slashed the crack marines. Spain swarmed aboard to slaughter all, save 10 in the attack. Save 10 of the 200 men survived to fight them back. They swarmed as though a hornet's nest had suffered such a blow. 10 men fought back as if possessed, though sightless in the snow. Just as blind men find their feet in routine surroundings, the yellow jackets in retreat, groping, got a pounding. Murat Reis had kept behind a bag of frag grenades, which all around the cabin mined him and 9 renegades. The din as detonated forced a cutter come to pry. Commonly an enemy, this day a blind ally. English muskets as they coughed swarmed hornets back to hive, and in the foggy frost was lost life numbering now 5. Belligerents both ignorant as dueling cannons slammed, the skies insanely sleety to free them to Amsterdam, where there in place a treaty which Murat Reis had planned. A truce between their nations by which himself had penned, in return for perk donations, hostilities would end. But still the Dutch authorities offered not to help, preserving their priorities kept anchored in the kelp. They kept him at a distance, forbade to have them fed, refused offered assistance, and would not take his dead. They would not land his dead, banning burials, so instead slipped shipmates under ice. They scorned his dead, then out they led his ex-family to entice. They rode him out his sallow wife, and showed a snot-nosed kid, try veer him from his pirate's life, and then the mayor's main bid, employment back a privateer to get them off their grid. Tomorrow morn I will inform you all of my decision, and late that night he took to flight, loaded with provisions. 40 hopeful jolly boats, each had 10 aboard, rode to with timber, tar and oats to claim a rogue's reward, with beer in barrels, beef and oats to join the Corsair horde. He'd dumped a ragged, scabby wife, but gained a crew who sought a life. 400 new to crew his galley, triumphantly they sailed to Sally. Yet another hero's welcome, where a wonderland was spread, for waiting was his harem, in which he'd take all 6 to bed. Alighting off the water, he found a waiting gift, the Sultan's youthful daughter, to which the tomcat stiffed, the Sultan's black-eyed daughter, to try to patch the rift. Given in replacement, gifted as a prize, a pardon as a payment for Tuesday's toxic demise. But it was a budget fix, the gift to fix a fracture. With perfidy in politics, he sailed away from rapture, and took his favoured of the 6 for an audacious capture. He chaperoned his favoured feel, the cherished Swedish Monday, to thrill her with a gusty steel, the English Isle of Lundy. Lundy Isle proved versatile for northern operations. On foggy cracks fixed Ottoman flags as martial provocations, flew taunting flags as Islam bragged of British violations. The rovers raided rocky coves and all along the beaches. Towns were torn apart in droves, communities in pieces. They raided half the British Isles for sinful wealth rewards. The old down to mid-juveniles snatched by Muslim hordes. Hundreds of young Scottish males, 1,000 girls from coastal Wales, joined Cornish, Dorsets, Devonshires, taken by the Empire's premier European slave supplier. From old Marisco's castle, the civet stamped a mark. The Sultan's Sally vassal on stealing sprees embarked, and in the Bristol Channel, one captured from Denmark. A proxy of the Kislet Aga relayed again his master's bet. Fruitless be an Icelandic saga, as not a stone from that shore get. On the way to Arctic plunder, half the ship struck in amaze. Traipsed Turkish troops in wonder, as up the midnight sun still blazed. Gawping in astonishment at the bewitching land, before conducting punishment by Allah's holy hand. They meted it in marvel, in the marvellous terrain, through alluring fields of lava directed by the Dane. They robbed and raped in awe because Iceland was such a picture, a righteous rupture as it was written so in Scripture. They came to rob and ravish, they came by treachery, and the traitor watched them lavish their abundant lechery. 3 estates they hit with hate, full fearfulness inflicted, because they could, as God was great, and stated so, as scripted. He hit the farmstead of Stadur, and did so still amazed, when raised the door at Stadur, a giant's hammer raised, but missed, ensuring life the 6th, got claimed as 9 lives saved. He hacked him into 40 chunks, the Titan who'd attacked. They forced his brother, watched as Jan wielded forth the axe, to 40 giant lumps afore every dwelling sacked. Yonder land of ice and fire, still filled with fascination, a fraction of the slaves required to fill an obligation, to pay the pashas, days and khans exorbitant taxations, hence headed them to Lundy base, their English island station. When sailing home from Lundy with the slave compartments filled, he'd had to comfort Monday, whence finding Friday killed. A war-mongering marabout, Saint Sidi Ali Achi, to spread Sharia set about the capturing of Salih. The Sultan gave him Azamor to placate jihad ambitions, but with Morocco's civil war it fired more holy missions. And as Zaidan lay dying with the Sadi's grip decayed, it saw Al-Achi rising, conducting a crusade. Thus the fervent Berber, with a devout flotilla, bombarded Salih's harbour and shelled the governor's villa. After capturing the Kasbah, was established as the chief, enforcing for the masses an orthodox belief, compelling Murat pay a price for his courtier's release. Then once the harem was released, plus son safe on the slaver, he'd sailed the seas to seal Tunis with spoils to curry favour. For finding favour with that day, allegiances now shifted. Half the slaves he gave away, with the fairest getting gifted. Cornish skins of porcelain awarded to the scoundrel, in exchange for governorship of Weladir's council. The council and the castle, and more Safi realty, as the foated, bloated rascal wanted blondes and fealty. At Janissary protection by Ottoman brigades, if supplied for his collection, flaxen virgin maids. For golden hair the answer to soothe fat Yusuf's day. Death befell the dancer by locks of ebony. For the dancer mostly raided, lands adjoining in the Med, those raven slaves made rabid, enough to lose his head. Raids on Europe's northern lands was next Jan's stratagem, to source the day's obscene demands, that thatch of platinum. For sons and Seralgado's reprieve, the northern waters scoured, of snatches with a sandy weave, which Yusuf's day deflowered. Scoured Celtic and the Saxon seas, for fresh flowers for to cater, to freed crude corporal needs of the obese dictator.